If you've ever felt like you're not as smart as the people around you, or like everyone else just gets things faster than you do, you're not alone. Most people underestimate themselves. And the weird part is, the smarter you actually are, the more likely you are to feel this way. Let's start with the most common one. You ask a lot of questions. The questioner. When you're in a meeting or in class or just talking with friends, you notice things that don't add up, and you ask about them. Sometimes people look at you like you're slowing things down. Sometimes you feel like you're the only one who didn't understand. But here's what's actually happening. You're not confused because you're slow. You're confused because you're paying attention. Most people hear something that doesn't make sense and they just move on. They assume it's fine. You don't. You stop and think, wait, that doesn't work. That's not a weakness. That's your brain doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Smart people ask more questions because they're actually thinking about what they're hearing. They're not just accepting it. And that takes more effort than nodding along. You feel like you don't know enough. The doubter. This is where it gets interesting. There's something called the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's basically this. People who don't know much about something tend to feel really confident, and people who know a lot tend to feel unsure. If you've ever studied for a test and felt less confident the more you studied, that's this. The more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know. It's uncomfortable, but it's also a sign that you're smart enough to see the bigger picture. People who aren't as thoughtful don't have that problem. They see one thing and think they've figured it all out. You learn one thing and realize there are 10 more things connected to it. That feeling of, I still don't get it, is actually you being more aware than most people. You notice patterns. The pattern spotter. Maybe you're the person who sees the same thing happening over and over at work. Or you notice that your friend always cancels plans when they're stressed. Or you realize that every time you skip breakfast, you feel terrible by noon. You connect things. You see how one thing leads to another. And once you see a pattern, you can't unsee it. Most people don't do this naturally. They see each situation as separate. They don't ask why something keeps happening, but you do. And that's because your brain is built to look for connections. That's not something you were taught. That's just how you think. You overthink everything. The overthinker. This one probably doesn't feel like a strength. Most people who overthink wish they could just turn it off. You replay conversations. You think about what you said, what they said, what it meant. You imagine 10 different ways something could go wrong before it even happens. And yeah, that's exhausting. But here's the part most people miss. Overthinking isn't random. It's your brain running scenarios. It's testing possibilities. It's preparing you for things that could happen. People who don't overthink aren't more relaxed because they're smarter. They're more relaxed because they're not seeing all the layers you're seeing. You're thinking 5 steps ahead. That's not a flaw. It just feels like one when you can't shut it off. You change your mind. The mind changer. When you learn something new, you adjust. If someone shows you a better way to do something, you try it. If you realize you were wrong about something, you admit it. This sounds obvious, but most people don't do this. Most people dig in. They defend what they already believe even when it doesn't make sense anymore. They take it personally when they're wrong. But you don't. And that's because you care more about being right than looking right. That's a rare thing. It means you're not scared of being wrong. You're just trying to figure things out. That's what smart people do. You're good at explaining things. The articulator. Not in a fancy way, not like a teacher, but when someone doesn't understand something, you can break it down. You find a simple way to say it. You use examples that make sense. That's not just being nice, that's intelligence. To explain something clearly, you have to understand it deeply. You have to know it well enough to see it from someone else's point of view. Most people can't do that. They know what they know, but they can't translate it. If people come to you when they're confused, or if you find yourself explaining things without even trying, that's a sign. You're not just repeating information, you're processing it. You feel uncomfortable when you're not learning. The learning craver. Maybe you get bored easily. Maybe you've had jobs that felt like a waste of time because you weren't growing. Maybe you watch videos or read things just because you're curious, not because you have to. That restlessness is your brain telling you it needs something to work on. Smart people get bored when there's nothing to figure out. It's not that you're ungrateful or impatient, it's that your brain is wired to solve problems and make connections. When it doesn't have that, it feels off. Most people are fine doing the same thing every day. You're not, and that's not a bad thing. It just means you need more mental stimulation than most people. You're hard on yourself, the self-criticizer. You remember your mistakes, you replay them, you wish you had said something differently or done something better. You hold yourself to a standard that most people don't even think about. And this leads to something bigger. The reason you're so hard on yourself is because you're aware of what you could have done. You see the gap between where you are and where you want to be. That awareness is painful, but it's also proof that you're thinking at a higher level. People who aren't as thoughtful don't have that problem. They don't see their mistakes the way you do. They move on. But you can't because your brain won't let you ignore it. That's not overthinking for no reason. That's self-awareness. And self-awareness is one of the clearest signs of intelligence. You understand things without being taught, the natural grasper. This one's subtle. Maybe you figured out how to use an app without reading instructions. Maybe you picked up a concept at work just by watching someone else do it. Maybe you solve problems just by thinking through them without needing a step-by-step guide. That's intuition. But it's not magic. It's pattern recognition. It's your brain pulling from everything you've already learned and applying it to something new. Most people need someone to walk them through things. You just get it. And the weird part is, you probably don't think it's a big deal. You assume everyone can do this, but they can't. You feel like an outsider. The outsider. At first, this doesn't seem like a big deal, but it's one of the most telling signs. If you've ever felt like you don't quite fit in, or like people around you care about things you don't, or like conversations feel surface level, that's not because something's wrong with you. It's because you're thinking differently. You're noticing things other people aren't. You're interested in ideas, not just events, and that makes it harder to connect with people who aren't wired the same way. Smart people often feel lonely, not because they're difficult, but because they're looking for depth, and most people aren't. That isolation isn't a flaw, it's just the result of seeing more than the average person sees. And last, the bonus one. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room, the ego reducer. This is a quieter sign, but it matters. You're not trying to prove anything, you're not competing, you're just trying to understand. People who are insecure about their intelligence make it obvious. They interrupt, they correct people, they need everyone to know what they know. But you don't do that. You listen, you think, you let other people talk. That's confidence. Real intelligence doesn't need to announce itself. It just shows up in how you think, how you listen, and how you make sense of things. So, if you've ever felt like you're not smart enough, look at the list again. If even a few of these sound like you're probably smarter than you think. The problem isn't your intelligence, it's that you're comparing yourself to the wrong things. You're not loud, you're not flashy, you don't have all the answers, but you think deeply. You notice things, you ask questions, you change your mind, you see patterns, and that's what intelligence actually looks like. It doesn't always feel impressive, but it is. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe for more content like this. Thanks so much for watching. See you guys in the next one.